Hello everyone, it's Wardy. We're back with another game of StarCraft 2 here today. Today it's just a single game, but it's something kind of funky. Yesterday when I was sitting in the restaurant in Kiev, and I am still here in Ukraine, this is the last YouTube video from Ukraine, so if you're getting a little annoyed with all the sounds that my laptop keeps making and the quality of the mic, this is the last time it's going to happen, so thanks for putting up with it. So I was watching Classic stream, and I actually tuned in just in time for this game, and that does mean I've seen it, but I think it deserves a cast anyways. That's how crazy and good it is, okay? So, I tuned in for this game. Apparently it's Classic here in the bottom left as the blue Protoss player against SOS, the red Protoss on the top right hand side. I was able to get my hands on the replay because Classic on his stream was saying if you donate $3 or more, you can get his replay pack for the day. And I thought, after seeing this game, I was like, well, that's the best $3 I've ever spent. So I dropped him a cheeky $10. I mean, we all got a little bit of Classic, happy to support some StarCraft 2, of course. But I mean, the benefit for us is it means I got my hands on this replay, and I really think that this is an absolute gem of a game. The players have some kind of banter and fun throughout. Obviously, it's in Korean. I can't read Korean, but Classic was having a little bit of a giggle and so on as well. So keep in mind that this is maybe a bit fun-hearted. It's just a game from the ladder, but I really do think it's worthy of a cast here. So this is it, the PvP between Classic and SOS on Automaton as we go into this one single game for today's YouTube exclusive. And again, I'm back home from WSG next week, so the quality of the video should be a lot better, and we're going to be casting a bunch of great games from WESG as well, ones that I didn't get to cast myself, so keep your eyes on the channel if you're interested in all of that. Don't forget to drop a like on the video if you think it's been a good game, and of course you can support by subscribing to the channel as well, it goes a long way. Or let me know down below if you like this kind of gameplay as well, where I just kind of grab a replay from the pro players that isn't necessarily from a tournament or so, because usually I'm just doing tournament casts and best of threes. This is literally just I grabbed a replay from his replay pack, so let me know if that's something you think is pretty cool. As we get set up here, 2 adepts on the way out from SOS to begin with, and you'll have to give me a little bit of freedom here. I might mess up the names a little bit. I've tried to hammer it in my head that SOS is red. I don't see them, I just see the barcodes here. The names that you guys see, they're added in on the streaming software, which I can't see because I'm working off of a single monitor. So SOS going to start up with 2 adepts, and that gives them a lot of gas to tech very early, compared to Classic, who invests gas into a sentry and a stalker. So this is very gas heavy from Classic, and it's very typical to then go for an expansion with a good amount of gateway units before teching up. Obviously a very different situation from SOS here, who drops down the Twilight Council on the bottom side of the map, and coming across the map with a couple of adepts already, looking to apply that little bit of pressure which adepts do give you. Now this is really good because it will keep units pinned back and so on, as we are going to be seeing 2 more gateways on the way up from SOS. So this is already looking completely all in, right? I mean, you look at this, he's getting Resonating Glaives. It's like a very weird version of a 4-gate, like 4-gate Adept. I would even say that a lot of the time a 4-gate with this setup, I would expect a Dark Shrine and an Archon, because an Archon's going to be able to push up this ramp and break a force field. Obviously the DTs initially have potential to do damage as well, right? So I feel like there's a lot of opportunity with that sort of build, but with the Resonating Glaives, it's kind of a little bit different. It's a little bit wacky. It kind of is a bit like SOS, and I think when I was watching this game and reading the chat, a lot of people were saying, oh, this is either SOS or Hero, and yeah, I think Classic confirmed for us that it was indeed SOS playing the game. Did you see that Resonating Glaives? Then that's going to finish up shortly. There's going to be quite a lot of adepts here. Now, that said, if you look at what Classic has seen, well, that Hallucinated Phoenix sees just 2 gates in the main, so you must know that something a little bit weird and funky is going on. As we do see 2 shield batteries here, and that actually is a Dark Shrine from SOS, going to proxy that down on the 3rd base of Classic. I mean, why not? When not behind, Dark Shrine on your enemies, where your enemy likes to mine. There we go, we made it rhyme. As we do see the Adept shading forwards, that's going to be actually no force field, also a mistake from, well, not obviously not force field, but there's no pylon block or anything, so these Adepts are allowed to shade straight up. Guardian Shield pops a couple of force fields on the left. 1 shield battery in the mineral line is helping. Honestly, just the Stalker count here from Classic is helping him to defend this, and these Adepts are going to get turned away, as we are going to be seeing Classic going into a Twilight Council and a Robo facility of his own here. has got a probe up to the top side of the map as well. Immediately starts an immortal. Just anything you can get that's going to be good at dealing damage will be great right now. As you can see, Classic walls off with this gateway, and so those adepts are not able to get up to the high ground, and that's exactly what should have happened the first time. They probe in position, pile on block in case 2 adepts try and shade in. Obviously it's a lot more adepts, and so letting them all shade in was a little bit messy, and you lose the sentries because of that. So some losses here from Classic that he probably didn't want to take so early on, as we are going to see the Dark Shrine has finished up, and the first DTs can obviously warp in pretty close, and that is going to be a Dark Shrine upgrade. The Shadow Stride, the Blink DTs are going to be built here by SOS. I never actually realized when the DT Shrine's upgraded and it's got these little flames going on around it. That's pretty cool. Dark Shrines are pretty awesome, man. Like, as a structure, it's something we never really appreciate. Alright, well, SOS in true SOS fashion is also going to take his map control and take his opponent's gold base with it. So, a little bit crazy, a little bit wacky here as we get this underway. The DTs have arrived, and there's a force field now. Pylon will go down. Bit of a shame he didn't save the Pylon with the force field, and this is just waiting for himself to get an observer up as these 2 immortals are sat at the front. There's a little symbol here, this little kind of backwards F. That's a laughing symbol. It kind of makes the K sound in Korea, so it's a K. So it's like, you know, usually you spam like K K K. That's funny, you know? So Classic laughing a little bit and told him off the DTs, and then maybe wasn't laughing so much when the adepts were threatening to shade, but SOS decides he doesn't have the numbers, as we are going to see those adepts moving up. So far, I mean, yes, SOS taking a gold base, etc., but I feel like Classic has defended this pretty well, right? You know, he's about to have his own Resonating Glaives up so he can fight adept with adept. Kind of interesting to get that rather than Blink Stalkers, because I feel like the Stalkers do pretty well against adepts as well. It's probably just a situation where he feels he can probably end the game with a follow-up because he's defended so well here early on. Getting that Warp Prism up as 2 more DTs warp in, so keep that in mind. These DTs are stacking up in numbers. There's currently 5 Dark Templar, and with Shadow Stride you're going to be able to blink across this wall off and kind of get past the walled defense here. As you do see those units kind of hanging out in the center. Oh, that's a really good force field. Blocks the adepts in. 3 adepts going down as the force field getting some claims. And you can see that little laugh there from Classic once again. Giggling away. And that's going to be a little bit of a sad face from SOS in return. Not so happy that he just lost a few of his adepts and was forced to recall. Good quick recall though. Absolutely necessary to be able to save those adepts. As we do see the gold base starting to mine. We are going to actually have Classic here moving out and will find the gold base, so he's going to jump right on top of this. Already a couple of probes getting picked off, so some probes going down already. Well, this sounds, you know, this seems great. You find the gold base, you're going to shut that down until you realize the DTs are going to jump over your base and go into the main. Because again, I mean, even with the pylon, it's meant to give you some time, right? But straight into the mineral line, and these probes are going to start dropping. And all of a sudden, Classic is like, what? He's got an observer, but he doesn't have units here. A couple of adepts do finish up, and the shield battery's keeping them alive for the moment. There's a recall back into the base, as you can see. Classic is going to continue toward the upper right-hand side. SOS uses the Blink DTs to get away, jumping out of the main base. As we do see, the probes from the gold are actually obviously going to pull away now too, because these immortals here have killed this, but those 2 immortals are completely stranded on the gold base. They've been left behind, and these DTs, you can see that they're waiting to blink on top of these immortals, I'm pretty sure. There we go, blinks on top, the immortals take some damage, and what are they going to do now? Well, they're going to try and run up to the top. There is a Warp Prism on the way, and the immortals, they're not quite going to go down. They do get saved. So good save right there. There's a force field on the ramp, catches one adept again, but doesn't quite get the kill. Adepts here trying to shade from Classic, but of course he can't get to the low ground because his pylon is blocking him on the high ground. That wall off has proved to be invaluable for him so far, and helping defend these adepts at least. So adepts do shade away across the map. The Warp Prism trying to micro a couple of immortals around and deal some damage, but unfortunately kind of gets shut down pretty hard. You can see those immortals have taken a lot of damage first from the DTs and now from these gateway units. So those immortals getting shut down, not allowed to continue forwards here. As you see, Stalkers, Adepts, 2 sentries, all in this army. There go the Adepts again. They're going to be blocked by the pylon. Good defense by Classic, but obviously it's very frustrating because he's not able to move across the map without these counterattacks causing a lot of damage, it seems. Immortals here going to micro. A couple of Adepts warped in as well, so Classic really trying to do something once again. Brings the sentry into the main. I wonder if that's just for a Guardian Shield, as that's a dead immortal though. The DT warp in, huge right now. And there was a Guardian Shield, but then the sentry gets lifted up pretty soon after. SOS is expanding in the bottom right-hand side, so hiding an expansion, I mean, you kind of need to, right? Because you can't expand here, as, you know, Classic is putting way too much pressure on. If he knows there's an expansion, he knows he can play this a bit differently. Classic does have his own gateway up here as well, so you can warp in a little bit. DTs have blinked into the main base, having used an observer for high ground vision. SOS is back and goes straight into the mineral line and one-shots a bunch more probes. SOS is on 32 probes, by the way, against 9 probes. But I do feel like the better army is standing for Classic, and so if you can find a fight, they should be okay, but finding a fight against Blink DTs is very frustrating. As again, down on only 9 probes, he needs to deal some damage, but he looks as though he is going to be moving in towards the main base here. Already looking to take down a couple of these gateways. He unpowered these gates before. Maybe SOS with a probe on the bottom right side, not mining there as he is going to recall, so should fix that in a moment. He should be able to kind of just come in and repower them gates and kind of keep some of his production up. As the Classic sends out a bit of a laughy face. Again, SOS seems to be a little bit sad as his main base is going to be overtaken. However, at the same time, Adepts in the main base of Classic are dealing some damage as well. The recall should have told SOS that, should have told Classic that SOS has another Nexus somewhere. He is just going to clean up the main base to begin with those Adepts. He probably doesn't take them as much as a threat right now. He only has 1 probe. Here comes the rest of the army in, and I think you have to recall here realistically. He just popped a bunch of hallucinated Archons. That's actually not so great, because I feel like he was just kind of trolling away, and now he's like, oh, hang on. Maybe it was something to do with being able to tank or so, but I don't know, like, I don't think the hallucination gives you much benefit here. As he's cleaned out that main base Nexus, but obviously really needs to go and shut down mining, because right now SOS has a ton of money, and that money can really mean a whole bunch of extra warp-ins. That could be absolutely critical as a DT comes forwards here. Gonna get a swipe on an Immortal. You can see that this Observer's just a bit out of position. That Warp Prism coming to try and save the day. Immortal just gets lifted up as he does chase down an Immortal on this top side now. But obviously this is SOS just saying, yeah, cool, run after my army over here. I've got a base on the bottom right. I'm building up gateways and building up production. Still has his Dark Shrine available, right? So you can warp in more Dark Templar. As the Warp Prism bringing the Immortal forwards, juggling it in. You can see these Adepts actually not getting too many bad shots off actually from SOS. He's getting some pretty good trades because he still has so many of the Adepts fighting. As the 2 Stalkers do continue away over to the right-hand side. DTs are back on the main base of Classic though. Classic has, this building up here obviously helps, but in general, in a base trade, SOS is set up pretty well with the fact that there's buildings and structures all around the map currently. So that's something to keep in mind as we see those DTs are going to get the Nexus. That does mean Classic can't build anything else. He doesn't have a probe, he doesn't have mining, he doesn't have minerals, like, he doesn't have anything, right? So, Classic is stuck with what he's got right now, as you can see that, he's running around the map trying to figure out what's going on. He's about to be revealed, so SOS will know where to go to kill things. He's already sending a probe up to the top as well. And a couple DTs here too could pick off those structures, as it looks like Classic will try and take down these. I think Classic has just ignored the fact that SOS has an expansion for a long time. Either he didn't realize there was a recall, he thought about something else, didn't think about it at all, and he's just gotten carried away with himself a little bit here. SOS currently making this work. Up by 16 supply, but I still stand by the fact that 33 of that is probes. And while he is mining, he might not be mining for very long. The probes are already being chased. A new Nexus coming up on the left now. Classic still has the better army, and he has the detection he maybe needs to take a fight, if he can take a fight though. Because again, this army of SOS is obviously very mobile, with the Adepts, with the Dark Templar, and so you can move around this army of Classic a ton, like an absolute ton. As you do see those probes continue to run away to the upper right hand corner. A couple DTs in the main trying to be dealt with by Stalkers who return in the Warp Prism to fight. That's going to be a little bit of a micro war as well. More DTs showing up actually, and a Stalker on the low ground. Isn't down just yet, does get saved in the end. Again, picking off this Nexus over here, but suddenly DTs show up, and that's going to be maybe a dead sentry. Blinks one of the DTs away because it's tough with the observers here, right? Those DTs do actually go down. 22 to 35 army supply. SOS obviously is going to have his gateways unpowered here once again in a moment. You saw before there was a few Zealots mixed in. That was just because what else do you build right now other than Zealots? I feel like Classic needs a bit more defense in the main base though. These structures are in absolutely a bit of trouble. A couple DTs and Zealots swiping away. The Stalkers pulling back. You can see these units coming up here as well, still fighting these gateways and so on. Just leaves a few down in the bottom after taking down the pylon. He knows no warp-ins can come in at least. Still don't think Classic is actually aware of the fact that there is a Dark Shrine right here. That's a little bit of a shame, and of course, having killed the Nexus and knowing his opponent's not being revealed, he should kind of know there's a Nexus on the map. And they're starting to look pretty dire because these DTs are getting so much damage done. The Robo's going down, the Assimilator, the Pylon, and this army continue to just move around, and well, there you go, a big blink out. The Adepts are going to shade away. So they're going to shade away, but there is Adepts on the low ground that will try and intercept them, but then the DTs are coming in as well, and the Observer's not here. Two Stalkers on the side, one Adept goes down. I mean, every unit's so crucial right now. Good Warp Prism Micro, and Adept goes down, but he drops Stalkers back down into the Dark Templar. Dark Templar blink back now, the Observers and the rest of the army has shown up. But again, it's so much harassment and so much pressure from SOS. He's now able to take this Nexus on the top left-hand side and mine from it for a good amount of time, so getting a lot more minerals, and even just mining enough minerals to be able to build another Nexus, like he's doing up here. That alone is a pretty big deal. As you can see, this Warp Prism's going to go around, try and figure out where those buildings are. I mean, this army's going to sit here. He needs to defend his last remaining structures. There is only a robo facility, an assimilator, and a pylon left in the main from Classic. And if that's all that remains, he absolutely 100% cannot afford to let DTs into his main for more than just a moment. I like this. This army hides to the side. It's almost like a bait. Come into my main base, kill my structures, and then I'm going to get your DTs trapped. But Automaton has a lot of service area, and there is that blink away. Good attempt with the force field too, as you see the DTs going right into the back of the base. He's going to try and recall them. He will lose one. He may not lose another though, and he doesn't in fact. Warp Prism here does see that Nexus building, but is continuing to scout around. I think Classic is aware that there's been a Nexus sooner than these two, because otherwise SOS would have been revealed already. And there's this Nexus right over here that he just hasn't found yet. So still remains with the 3 structures here, Classic, as he's going to come down to the bottom. He does finally find the pylon, and that means the Dark Shrine figured out as well. That's really nice because SOS is in a position to warp in more DTs if he just got a couple of gateways up. So shutting down the Dark Shrine is a huge deal. He leaves it alive. He's killing pylons. And I feel like the Dark Shrine is actually a huge pickoff with so much potential, as we see DTs coming in. Sentry picks up though, Classic. Gonna micro these units with the Warp Prism, of course. Again, army supply currently 31 to 10. But it's tough for him because, again, all it takes is a few moments of DTs in this main and Classic loses the game. So he can't send his entire army and just force a fight like he might usually be able to do with this sort of army supply advantage. He has to be wary of keeping some units back to defend. And look at this, a probe going ahead into the main base right now. He does find this base up here. SOS has a lot of minerals to work with, though. A lot of warp-ins available if he ever gets gates up. But mostly just being able to build more nexus, build more structures to extend the base trade to give him more time to potentially kill these units or these structures over in the main base. DT's down over to this side, blinking in, and these Stalkers actually in some trouble, so there goes a couple of units actually. This does actually hurt Classic. Obviously, every unit he loses is a unit he will never get back in the game. DT Blink should be ready to save this DT. Actually, maybe not. Super close. Stalkers do not get the shot. Oh my god, yes they do. Finally gets it at the end. 2 Adepts currently defending DTs in the main as well. An Immortal Sentry and Stalker just left picking their way through the structures on the top side. Stalker's going back over here as another Adept goes down. That's another unit that Classic never gets back in this game. Stalker's continuing to kite, another DT dropping down. The army supply of SOS down to 4. He literally only has 2 DTs left on the map, and surely this is it. I mean, that base to the top right is mining. Oh my god, he's repowered gates over here. He can warp in a couple of Zealots. Oh man, well, a couple of Zealots coming in, that's going to be quite important actually. Now we're going to be seeing this Dark Shrine being picked away at. I mean, just anything to deal damage as the DTs go into the main base, and all of a sudden, SOS is going to force Classic to pull back once again. With so few units on the map, again, killing this Nexus takes so long, and it'll take forever to then get over here and to fight on this base as well. Dark Templar being chased away. They're both going to survive, as there is actually now only 2 structures remaining. The robot facility has fallen, and that really limits how many mistakes Classic can do here. I mean, really means he can't be out of position for that much longer. Gas is even set up on this base from SOS. However, Classic knows that this base is up. He scouted it beforehand, and so bringing the Immortal Sentry and Stalker over to try and harass it down. Couple Stalkers chasing this DT, but again, a blink probably was available, but I guess if you're not blinking out of the main, then you're probably not really saving the day anyways. Probes are going to go back to the top left, and now it's SOS who's going to start laughing. Ha! Says Classic. Not too happy perhaps with how this is going. Again, a little bit of a crazy situation so far with all these things that have been going on. The Zealot gets picked off, the other Zealot being chased away. I mean, again, every unit you pick off right now is very important still as well. You can see there's 12 army supply back on the map, as we see actually a bunch of Zealots here are currently fighting against a few of those Stalkers. Army up here cleans out this Nexus to the top left side. We've got some probes getting back to mining once again as well. And this is really just getting a little bit crazy at the moment, a little bit crazy. War Prism down the right side is going to find another one of these Nexus, so able to try and shut this down. But the fact that soon SOS is going to be able to mine up here again means he's going to get the minerals to build another base and to buy that time once again. These Zealots chased away by Stalkers at the same time, so is going to be able to shut down one more unit from SOS, a little bit more army that is now not going to be able to chase down his final Assimilator and Pylon. Although he actually did lose the Pylon, maybe another DT in the main that I missed. So it is actually only an Assimilator remaining. Look at that Structures tab. One Assimilator is all Classic has. And again, can he make this? Can he survive? It's tough because he's definitely sized the units, but it's getting lower and lower. And it kind of feels like at this point, it's just going to be too much of an uphill battle because every single time he gets close, SOS just gets another base up. And once he gets another base up, you know, Classic just can't get rid of bases fast enough, and that's the big issue here. Because if he could get rid of bases fast enough, this would be brilliant. The recall going to come down is going to be seen. I guess that's some Zealots coming in here to fight this Immortal, Sentry, and the Stalker that drop on down. Zealots going to walk on over. The Immortal going to pull away over to the left side. The Zealots not really taking much damage. This is not an army that's really good at cleaning up Zealots, but they are slow Zealots, so they are kiteable. Kites back, goes back to the mineral line, wants to stop mining. Comes back again, drops to the other side. The Zealots dancing around here. The Immortal lifted back up. The Stalker and the Sentry, same story. Sentry might have a force field in a moment or two. That could help perhaps a little bit. Immortal is so low, really cannot afford to take any damage here. Everything lifts back up one more time. Meanwhile, elsewhere on the map, these two DTs waiting to strike, but they've not found the opportunity yet. There is the force field, actually. Looks as though he only just got the energy for it. That's actually nice, because now the Zealots actually take a lot of damage before they get over here. Even a few probes pulling in, but the Immortal has barriers, so can take a few more shots. There's the lift up, as these units still protect the front door, saying, you cannot come into my base. Not for free, anyways. Classic laughing again. SOS is back to being a little bit upset. You're going to see the probes and the Zealots heading down to the bottom left-hand side. This time, SOS did not get the minerals to kind of have too much in the bank. He's got a base building in his main, but the probes aren't going there. The probes are making a move to the bottom left-hand side. Oh no, SOS might be, I mean, SOS can't get down, oh sorry, Classic, sorry, the barcodes are messing me up. Classic might not be able to get towards his main base in time. I mean, these probes can mineral walk in, the DTs will blink in as well. I just don't know if you can kill these units in time, as here we go, moving straight on through, and we are going to be seeing the probes actually getting a bit of a surround. The DTs coming in as well. The DTs are going to blink on the Stalkers. Stalkers will fall, and that's a huge pickoff, a pickoff that's not happened. The probes actually being the critical thing from SOS to be able to to be able to deal it. See you, he says, GSL round of 16. Oh my god, SOS making sure Classic gets out the game as it's one swipe away. A little bit of BM, and that is it. SOS wins the game against Classic. Oh my god, what a ridiculous game, right? I mean, the Blink DTs alone were crazy, never mind all of these little tiny interactions. SOS hiding bases around the map, buying time, so that even though he didn't have the army to fight, it didn't really matter because he forced so much of the army to stay back at home time and time again, and because that army had to stay back at home and defend, Classic just couldn't deal enough damage fast enough. Elsewhere on the map was obviously a bit slow to figure out bases a couple of times early on, and I think that was what really cost him, not figuring out where those mining bases were, and instead kind of killing off pylons and gates in the main base, and stuff like that. Oh my god, crazy game. I absolutely loved this one. It was a pleasure to cast, and I hope you guys really enjoyed it as well. I'm going to call it right there, but if you guys enjoyed, leave a comment on down below. Let me know what you thought of the kind of just casting a game from the ladder. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel as well. I mean, the more we grow the channel, the more YouTube content I can put out there. I've got some really cool things planned for the YouTube, so hopefully you guys are enjoying the content. Any feedback, anytime, leave it in the comments. I read every comment you guys leave, so do let me know what's up. Those interactions help a bunch with pushing the videos out to new people as well. And again, the more we grow this, the more we do. So thanks so much for all the love and support. And next couple of days are going to be Alimo League update uploads, and then we'll be back with another YouTube exclusive on Tuesday, and I'll be casting that one from home. So yeah, exciting times, guys. Have a great rest of your night. Have a great rest of your day, or whenever you're watching this. And see you next time.